In my last video, I was referring to this case here, sell euros, buy dollars to keep the euros value down, or I was referring to this case here that if the Bolivar lost value against the dollar or depreciated, for example, the exchange rate, which is officially 110, goes to 1/12, but they want to keep it at 1/10. How can they do that? Well, they need to appreciate the Bolivar. To appreciate the Bolivar, they need to buy the Bolivars or increase the demand for Bolivars. And they have to do that by selling dollars. As they sell dollars, they depreciate the dollar and they will appreciate the Bolivar. Remember, if we are looking at the exchange rate between two currencies, when one appreciates, the other one depreciates. Now, the other case, which is shown below here, to keep the euros value up, sell dollars, buy euros. This would be like the US point of view, and euros being the foreign exchange. For Venezuelans, if the Bolivar increases in value against the dollar, but they want to, in other words, the Bolivar has appreciated, and they want to keep the rate at 1/10, but it went from 1/10 to 1/8. In other words, now less Bolivars per dollar. That's an appreciation or strengthening of the Bolivar. But they want to depreciate the Bolivar. Well, they have to sell the Bolivars to make it cheaper and buy dollars at the same time with the Bolivars that they're selling. So that makes the dollar appreciate in value and the Bolivar depreciate in value. This is actually what the Chinese do. They want to keep their currency depreciated so that they can sell more products to us. In other words, to stimulate their own exports to the United States. So they sell Chinese currency and buy US dollars. Now, the situation that is shown here on the first case can be depicted here in a graph. Somehow the new exchange rate between the dollar, these are the amounts of dollars on the horizontal axis, and this is the price of dollars in Bolivars. So that price is now 12. And the 10 is now below the 12. And as you can see, this is a situation of disequilibrium where the quantity supplied of dollars, is less than the quantity demanded of dollars. So there is a pressure on the price to go up under free market conditions, as we have learned in economics. So what are the alternatives for the country? One alternative is very simple, just simply change the pegged exchange rate and say now that instead of 1/10, it is just 1/12. So this is just a way of acknowledging we can't do anything about it. Another thing countries do in this situation is that they may restrict imports or financial outflows, because as money leaves with imports, money leaves, let's say Bolivars, so the supply of Bolivars increases and the demand for the foreign currency increases. So supply of Bolivars increases, the demand for dollars increase with imports. So that makes the Bolivar depreciate even more, and the dollar will be appreciated. And so therefore, if they reduce imports, they will reduce the demand for foreign currency or foreign exchange. So that may stop a little bit the process of currency, the local currency being depreciated more. Now, there might be policies to slow the economy on purpose, because if the economy slows down, then citizens will buy less imports. Another one is to increase the interest rate. Why? Well, if the interest rates increase, then people from other countries, they will be interested in saving money in that particular country because they are getting a higher return for their money. So the demand for the bolivars in this case will increase, and then the bolivar will appreciate in value. Another one is to reduce inflation. If the price of things in Venezuela are reduced, then the items are cheaper, more attractive to foreigners. They will buy more Venezuelan goods and services, and that increases the demand for bolivars, and therefore make the bolivar appreciate in value. Finally, another thing that they may do is foreign exchange control. In other words, from the Venezuela point of view, to control dollars. And that's exactly what they do. They have a certain exchange rate for certain kinds of imports, another exchange rate for other kinds of imports. Not the 10 bolivar per dollar that you see in the report, in the website xrate.com, is only available to very, very few importers or very few officials in the government. In fact, I was checking this morning, and the bolivar in the streets is actually being exchanged at almost 1,000 per dollar, which is a very, very different rate.